Cool.
I didn't hear what you just said because I was trying to figure out how to push those buttons. What did you ask just now?
That's all right. So if DOJ comes in and tells West Virginia that this is illegal, we're taking you to court, and West Virginia's like, great, and then they go and argue, that what they're doing is legal as outlined in the Hughes Amendment, and if the court, let's say the Fourth Circuit sides with the Department of Justice, then West Virginia could turn around and say the Hughes Amendment itself is unconstitutional because the argument is that it does not have jurisdictional. Wow, I said it earlier. Jurisdictional hook to Article 1 of the Constitution, meaning that Congress overstepped their bounds when they put this into FOPA. Because
you're just like saying, like, what if accidentally this becomes a challenge to the used or the GOPA or Gun Protection Act, or do you think this was intentional? I guess it doesn't matter, but I was just wondering if you think.
No, my curiosity is, what if it does? So then, because let's say Department of Justice fights it, and they get a favorable ruling that says, no, West Virginia can't do that, even though it was clearly written into the Hughes Amendment, then West Virginia turns around and says the Hughes Amendment is unconstitutional because, again, no jurisdictional hook, meaning Congress went outside of their bounds with the Hughes Amendment because they're regulating interstate commerce. And there's nothing written into the Hughes Amendment outlining interstate commerce with it. So arguing that, no, this is to regulate interstate commerce would not be doable because it's not in the Hughes Amendment in the first place. So then what my question is, if West Virginia were to then argue that the Hughes Amendment is unconstitutional, which again, in 1996, there was a case which Justice Alito dissented in, where he actually said, for the reasons that I just said, the Hughes Amendment is unconstitutional. So with that, though, if it ends up going that far, I mean, this would obviously be years down the line because these things don't happen overnight. But if it goes that far where it gets taken to the Supreme Court, because there's a couple things here, especially with Kentucky getting in the mix. So let's say there's circuit split. Sixth Circuit, which is Kentucky, says one thing. West Virginia is in the Fourth Circuit. And let's say they say another thing. So then you got circuit split. Plus, if the Department of Justice gets their butt handed to them on the constitutionality of the Hughes Amendment, and they say, hey, Supreme Court, we want you to take this case, which when the Department of Justice says to the Supreme Court, hey, we want you to take a case, they are very likely to take it. That's why, like the Rahimi case, there was other cases that they could have taken besides the Rahimi. But
dude, you're like three what ifs to create.
I don't care about three what ifs. Let's say
like
it's
three
very
steps
plausible.
away. Like first it has to be what if this, then it has to be what if this, and now you're taking it to like the third what if to be like this dire circumstance.
No, it's not dire. I'm just stating it's a very real possibility, and if that happens, if they rule the Hughes Amendment unconstitutional, does it undo all of FOPA?
Well, I think the answer to your question is no, but I don't think that those three things are inevitable or likely, like you're saying. I think that one maybe, but then, I mean, the odds of one of the first step, which would be the Department of Justice challenging it, successfully, I guess, would have to happen first. So I think you're playing 3D chess off of something that I think is, unless I'm missing something, is more of a not desperation, but like, we want to do any move we can. We want to be doing something, and we want to do it in states. I don't know how thought out this is. I mean, I'm assuming it's thought out, but I don't know in the grand scheme of things if this is like the most amazing chess game move ever, or if this is just a place where they can make a chess move because of the rest of the places is gridlocked and whatnot. So anyway, I don't know the mindset. All I know is what the robots told us about this bill. I don't know like who started this, if this is, if is the whole point of this to create a what's the word, like to create a challenge to the Hughes Amendment. I mean, who wouldn't want a challenge to the Hughes Amendment at some point? At least the stupid, whatever the part is that made the machine guns part. The rest of it we want, and that's what your question is really. Like, is it going to kill the Hughes Amendment? Not the Hughes Amendment. I keep saying the Hughes Amendment. Is it going to kill the Gun Owners Protection Act, which is what we want? But if we challenge the Hughes Amendment portion of it, do we lose everything else? One, I think personally, I would say lose it all and get the rest back, because we'd rather have machine guns and then get back the other shit. The other shit all had to do with the 1968 shit that we don't even hardly deal with because of NICS now. But the couple of the things that we'll lose is interstate travel or something. And I don't think the feds need to be involved with interstate travel in the first place. That's a whole nother discussion, I guess. But I don't think I don't know. I don't think that it would be inevitable, as you say, and I don't think it's a dire circumstance if we challenge the whole Firearms Owners Protection Act, have it chosen unconstitutional. Machine guns come back at a perfect time because NFA is going to go away, and then we can figure out about transportation again or travel. In a country where we have 50 states with constitutional, or 50 states with concealed carry and 29 states with constitutional carry, the piece of the Gun Owners Protection Act that lets us travel, how big, how major is that in 2026 anymore, as it was in 1986, and important during like whatever the 90s and the early 2000s. I mean, I acknowledge it was important. I just don't know if it's as important as it was, or maybe critical.
Okay, well, I think GWebs did a little bit better job of. I see both of your guys' point of view on that. I think GWebs kind of condensed it down a little bit and cleaned it up a little bit. If I'm understanding everybody right on this, so I think one of the best things that probably could come out of this is probably the Hughes Amendment. Now the GOP getting challenged on this, even if this whole thing goes sideways and they say no, you can't do that, then they go back to the courts and say, well, no, because this is unconstitutional. So maybe that starts another battle that actually finishes it off.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, yeah, and maybe that's another pathway on this too, to actually get all the fun toys and everything that, well, I won't say toys because they're not toys.
Some of them are. We're allowed to say toys.
Yeah,
we're allowed to have fun.
Yeah, but yeah, they're fun. They're fun. But actual full auto back to the people instead of that stupid 1986 bullshit and everything, and everything that goes along with it. So, and most of the gun guys in here know exactly what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I could see this going possibly 3 different ways now that everybody's been talking about it, especially since GWebs kind of came in. And so, yeah, I can see it from several different points of view on that. Maybe it branches out and goes different ways. Who knows? Because we're going into new territory here. So, but I like it.
So I think on my side, I'm trying to figure out how the comments work. Do you see the comments over there that are coming in? I don't know if it says what channel they're coming from, but Daniel says Roberts and Barrett would screw it up. What is that? Is that the two justices?
Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett.
No, it makes sense. Okay.
It depends on who's in office for Roberts. If it's Trump in office, Roberts torpedoes anything that would benefit Trump. And I'm not saying like Trump would benefit from this, but if there's something
Barrett,
that
as far as that goes.
What's that?
So does Barrett, pretty much.
Well, Barrett, she annoys the piss out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Roberts, he is much more middle of the road, but and I think some would say a bit more right leaning, but he really doesn't like Trump, and there's been plenty of times where there's been something before the court where he's kind of been that deciding vote, and if it would help put a feather in Trump's cap in any way, he votes against. So yeah, he would definitely goop it up. Barrett, I would not put a lot of faith in. If people remember, during the oral arguments for the NYSERPA v. Brewing case, she was the one that brought up the sensitive places. And what if somebody wanted to carry at NYU or in the Big Apple or any whatever else? That was Amy Coney Barrett that brought up that crap.
Yeah, she has not been at times. I'm not saying all the time, but at times not the friendliest to the 2A, even though but I'm not going to say that here. I'll get myself in trouble. But anyway, she has not been exactly the friendliest on the 2A side, even though it's kind of a 50-50 with her. I don't know. She's kind of flaky when it comes to that.
Yeah. At first, when she was before the Senate, all that stuff, I was really liking her. And then since she's gotten in, and not just 2A cases, just the ways that she has voted on different cases that have come before the Supreme Court and some of her dissents and whatnot, I've not been impressed. So,
agreed.
Oh. So, at this point, I'm just very interested to see where this goes. Also to see, does it catch fire with more states? Is it just Kentucky that's going to jump on the bandwagon? Or, do we see Ohio do it? Then we've got 3 states right there touching that jump into that mix. Do we see a state like Texas jump into it? It'd be very interesting to see if any other states do jump on the bandwagon.
Well, if I'm understanding it right, that's the Hughes Amendment, so that's national, right? Like what is it? It's a national whatever amendment to firearms laws. So that means that any state that wanted to could wiggle that.
The Hughes Amendment is just an amendment that was made to the Firearm Owners Protection Act.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying it affects federal law. So it's
Yes.
like a federal level thing. And if if that becomes a wiggle room, then all I'm saying is West Virginia isn't unique in any way. It has nothing to do with like something in the Hughes Amendment said West Virginia. It just said something in the Hughes
Yeah.
Amendment. I'm trying to figure out what it said. It says the exemption, leveraging an exemption in the Hughes Amendment, which permits transfers to or by a state. This legislation seeks to restore lawful access to machine guns while adhering to federal law, potentially igniting significant legal and constitutional debate. So I think I agree with you that if this is West Virginia is the state with the balls enough to, or whatever, the gumption to do it, then I mean, I don't know what the states are, but I'm guessing at least 5 other states, right? It's 10 other states will jump to do it first because everybody in their state's going to go, I want these now, right?
Like,
and all the states who jump to their constituents who are going to, on this side are going to jump. I would say like 10 states could actually do something real quick. I just hope they get bigger lists than an M16 and a MP5. I want more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I was intrigued to hear how quickly Kentucky has jumped on the bandwagon. Other states that immediately jump out at me to, possibly jump on this. Like I said, be interested to see if Ohio did something like that. I think Missouri and Texas would definitely be on that short list.
Isaac is saying Ohio seems unlikely, but what about Ohio, Idaho, or Florida? Exactly. Or Wyoming.
I was curious about Florida.
Florida for sure, just to piss off everybody. Florida would definitely do
it. Yep.
I don't know. You can't get a true constitutional carry in Florida, let alone would they do something like this?
Yeah, they've got enough the Florida man running around down there. Do they really want to cut loose with fully automatic weapons?
Hell yes.
that was a joke.
I could see something like Idaho, Montana, South Dakota actually just repealed a law that made it illegal at the state level to own and purchase suppressors. So, could we see South Dakota jumping in on this? Yeah, definitely some states that I could see throwing their hat in the arena with us.
So, as a guest who started it, I looked at the robots. They said it was by the 2 Republican state senators, and then Gun Owners America, which helped draft it. So, questions: do you think this is just a Gun Owners America stunt? Is this like just them popping wheelies or something, or is this 4D chess and this is like the first move? They're cracking their knuckles and making the first move.
That's what I've been curious about, because if they were really trying to make a move, why didn't they propose it to something in the Fifth Circuit? Just that way, if it got challenged, the Fifth Circuit, probably the most two-way friendly circuit in the nation right now.
What states is that?
Texas, Louisiana.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Fourth Circuit, I believe, is...
Well, that's why I guess when I was saying before, like, was West Virginia like, okay, West Virginia, or was like West Virginia, like, again, like this massive 4D chess move, and they cracked their knuckles and went, okay, this is where we're doing it, and because the cards are going to fall this way or something.
That's what I'm curious about, because with West Virginia being in the Fourth Circuit, then you got other states like Virginia, I think, Tennessee, and maybe the Carolinas. Then you got Kentucky. That's the Sixth Circuit, which that includes Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, maybe. There's quite a few states in the Sixth Circuit, surprisingly. And the Sixth Circuit has been a bit more friendly than the Fourth Circuit. But like I said, if they were looking for this to be passed and then planning on a challenge, I feel like the most likely circuit would be the Fifth Circuit to, give it to one of those states. But then you mentioned 4D chess. So let's say they're playing 4D chess. They put it in the Fourth Circuit knowing they could get it through West Virginia, but it's going to get challenged. But really what they want to do is challenge the Hughes Amendment in the end, not just, get full autos for a few states, but to completely eliminate the Hughes Amendment.
Right. Like, so like take a weak stance so that you do get, the other side gets emboldened and tries to take you out at the knees. And then you point at the Hughes Amendment and go, but wait, you have to take this out too then.
So, that one I'm not sure.
Yeah, and honestly, that'd be the first time that can anybody honestly think of when something like that happened in 2A, where we actually strike first and they counterpunch, and then we say, okay, well then you got to look at this.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen like we sat down and planned it, but I think braces and what do you call it?
Well, that's true.
Triggers and junk. I think they've accomplished it. Pistols, AR pistols, but again, nobody sat down and went, what would be great 4D chess move right now? It was just, it happened, and we're on the right side. So luckily, it happened. Broke our way, didn't break another way. But I think that's happening. I guess I should say, that tree's breaking, or that whatever, that thing's falling over.
Right. At least they're chopping at it.
So, saying, how did Heller go down? I can't remember. Well, I don't know what you mean. Heller was, in the big picture, Heller was a bunch of intellectuals who said, you know what we can do? And then challenged a bunch of gun laws. So, but it wasn't like the NRA did it. Everybody knows what was happening at the NRA during that time. And all the other entities were content to just gather the dust, at the bottom of the NRA's pile. So nobody was doing anything at the time. From what I understand, Heller was just a bunch of basically scholars, writers, lawyer type people that were like, this is a good time to address this. And, we're on the side of correctness, or we feel we're correct here. And then they did. And we all have reaped the benefits of that in reality. But it wasn't like gun people sat down and said, it would be awesome. Which is, I think, it was an interesting thing for me to find that out. But I don't know what else besides Heller. Like, how did Heller go down?
I think one of the keys to it.
Oh, he's saying Heller came out of Chicago. Which Drixer's Gazette? He said Heller was a 4D move, or was it a lightning in a bottle? No, I definitely think Heller was
DC.
Move. Heller?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Heller was.
McDonald came out of Chicago,
and then Ezel came out of Chicago as well.
Yep.
But that's a good point.
Because DC had said you couldn't.
I've seen things or read things or whatever, listened to people have conversations about it. Heller was definitely and same with Miller. McDonald's, excuse me. There were a lot of different options, and then once they figured out they wanted to do it, they narrowed it down to him being the best potential, right? Like the best, whatever, the best scenario for them of the cases they had at the time. And luckily it worked. And I think the same with McDonald. They had a couple of different people in different, I don't know if they're in different cities, but it worked out. Basically Heller was like a police guy, or what was he, he just looked right, everything was right. He was a law abiding, and he had a decent job that was kind of had wasn't he a security or something? I
don't remember exactly what he
nothing about
did.
It was had to apologize for nothing. It was just a really good plaintiff or whatever. But I think as far as 4D chess, it was definitely 4D chess, and that's what started all of this. And there's definitely credit to be given, but it's no one gave them credit at the time. We just all take it for granted, and there's not a lot. The momentum that could have come out of that never did, which is frustrating. But what we can do about it now is decades ago.
Yeah, because with Heller, he was living in DC, and DC said like you couldn't even keep guns in your home, and that was the big thing behind the Heller decision. It affirmed that you had the right to keep and bear arms in your home. That's one of the things behind the NYSERPA v. Bruin decision, is it affirmed the ability to keep and bear arms outside of the home. We got Rich joining us now. How are you?
All right. Sorry I'm late. We've been having power issues today. There was a bad accident in the neighborhood, and we've had intermittent power outages for the last like 10 hours. So
That's all right. You guys are about to have full autos here soon, so.
Yep.
That's probably what happened. Is a big truck full of full autos hit a
We've already done all the work. We've been live for an hour now. We figured it all out for you. All you in West Virginia are welcome. So
West Virginia is where the technology branch was, right?
Yeah, it's in Martinsburg.
Yep.
Yeah,
so I like the idea of them doing it in West Virginia just for that.
Maybe that's part, just part of the reason.
Thumb in the nose or whatever it is. Like
Yeah, I know exactly where the tech center, the tech branch is. It's right by the VA hospital. That's in Martinsburg.
Yeah, I've done a podcast from a parking lot across the street looking at the 4473s.
I've been in that parking. I've been in the tech branch's parking lot. We couldn't. They kept saying they could send us the fingerprint cards, and our local police department didn't have any. So I decided one day, you know what, I'm going to go over to the tech department and see if I can get some from them. And they were cooperative. They got me 2 of them. So
very nice. So what else were we saying here?
I like it when people bring their fingerprints to the technology branch to leave them there. It's very convenient.
Very.
So do we have any more on this one, or have we beat this horse pretty well?
I don't know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not exactly sure how the hell they're going to sell machine guns still. I'm still racking my brain on that one. Like I said, the Armed Scholars got, if I remember right, I know Four Boxes Diner has a video out on it, and I believe the Armed Scholar does too. So I guess we will see what happens here in the next week or two.
Oh, it's going to be longer than that, I think.
With right now, any kind of news on that.
Right, yeah, let's say right now, I think it's just been proposed. It's going to have to go through committee still. After it gets out of committee, it's going to have to go to the floor, get voted on. Then, because Rich, do you know this? Your guys' bill originated in the House, right? Not in the Senate.
I believe it was originally in the Senate, but either way, it's late in session, so it may not even come up for a committee vote this term.
Yeah. Okay. I just can't remember which is which, because if you haven't heard yet, Kentucky has jumped on the bandwagon with a very similar bill of their own now. But I know one state originated it in their House, and the other state originated their bill in their Senate. I don't remember which is which. So
it's an SB bill, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I believe.
I thought it was HB. So then either way. It doesn't change anything on, all the steps it's going to have to go through. So, also, before we jump into brackets or anything, just like to remind people, there have been rumors about Justice Alito because he's been mentioned quite a bit tonight discussing this. But there are rumors that he may step down before midterms. And go for it.
Real quick, I just looked at my emails because I've been getting emails from GOA about it. It's SB 1071. So yeah, it's a Senate bill.
Senate bill. Yep. But yeah, so Justice Alito could step down before midterms, and if you guarantee if that happens, Democrats are going to do everything they can to block any confirmations through the Supreme Court until after midterms, in hopes that they take the Senate and the House. At least the Senate. That way, they can try and get somebody in there that they would at least find most preferable. That, or they could do the thing. Hey, Donald Trump's a lame duck. We're not pushing through any of his nominees until after the next election. And say we saw that happen with Republicans when Obama was in office. So midterms are going to be very important. They're already very important, but if Justice Alito does indeed step down before the midterms, it's going to put that much more pressure on him.
Agreed. So, looks like we got somebody else joining us tonight.
Yes, we got DJ Blandice jumping in.
Just changed too.
Bring on the bracket, man. What you got?
No, actually, shit. I don't know how the bracket's going to fall down because both bracket possibilities were activated. Hopefully, it goes the way of the non-wrestling way.
And Mr. DJ Play Nice. Rock.
So, Gary, music or wrestling?
Music.
Pat, music or wrestling?
Music. All
right, it's going to be a music bracket tonight. Let's say because G-Web's already gave his vote, and DJ's going to vote music. I'd almost bet Rich would vote wrestling. If you want to steal this bracket for your show sometime, Rich, I can send it over to you. But I came up with a list of 16 wrestlers / managers that were the best promos.
Interesting.
Right? I thought so too. But with that, do we have anything else to discuss before we jump over to the brackets? And like I briefly mentioned before, folks, South Dakota eliminating their state statute prohibiting ownership of suppressors. So if you're South Dakota resident,
what are they doing?
They eliminated. Apparently, South Dakota, like several other states, had a law in the books that made it illegal to own or possess a suppressor.
Oh, weird.
And with that, they've recently pulled it off the books. I believe their state police actually said that in the last decade, they have prosecuted nobody under that law.
Was saying earlier in the comments that Texas has. Well, go ahead.
You talked about Texas and their suppressor law, which is very similar to what West Virginia.
Well, it's a Montana law. Basically, we're not. If you don't do interstate, do whatever you want with suppressors. So, in other words, if you build it in Texas, stays in Texas, the ATF doesn't need to know about your suppressor. and that's what
Yeah,
Texas has done.
except the ATF has already tried to challenge that. And from what I understand, there's not a whole lot going on with that in Texas right now. But
I mean, the comments earlier said though that there's no stamp cans all over the place in Texas because Texas isn't prosecuting. I guess that's what made me think of what you're saying. Basically, the state stopped prosecuting, so essentially the law is different, because
no, I got you. No, from what I understand, South Dakota just took that law off the books. Period.
Right, but you're saying because they also looked at it and they haven't persecuted anybody for that law anyway, so they might as well have taken it off 10 years ago, however long they stopped persecuting people.
So
that's all I'm getting at.
Yep.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yep. Just for giggles, I'm gonna tell Rich what was on the wrestling bracket.
I'm gonna turn it
like
off.
I said,
on my
this
channel, so I'm gonna be on my channel. It has to hear any sports. Hold on.
right.
No, I'll turn it off.
So
Turn it off?
if we were doing the best promos in wrestling on this bracket,